Have you ever stood in a room full of people and felt invisible? Not because you were silent, but because you weren't seen, not truly. Imagine this. You're on a date. You smiled. You listened. You were respectful. You did everything right. And yet, something in her eyes dimmed. A silence grew. You felt it. You were failing a test you never knew you were taking. She never explained it. She just lost interest. And you, confused, polite, heart wide open, watched her walk away without knowing why. But Carl Jung would have known. He would have told you, this isn't about her. It's about your shadow. Because what she was responding to wasn't your charm or kindness. It was the absence of your essence. Not your light, but your lack of darkness. The man she's truly drawn to is not the one who performs well, but the one who contains himself fully, who walks not with borrowed lines and polished smiles, but with the raw, magnetic stillness of someone who has faced his inner abyss and didn't flinch. You see, every woman you meet is an unconscious gatekeeper to your individuation. She's not testing your wallet or your playlist. She's testing your being, your ability to stay sovereign under pressure. Because deep down, her biology isn't just looking for affection, it's searching for integration. Modern men are told to impress, but nature doesn't care about presentation. It responds to presence. And presence, true presence, comes only from a man who has met his shadow, made peace with his chaos, and now radiates clarity, not as a performance, but as a consequence. She doesn't want a perfect man. She wants a man who owns his imperfections so fully they no longer leak out in fear, neediness, or shame. You can't fake that. You can't script it. You either are that man, or you're still becoming him. And if you're still becoming, that's okay, because this is the beginning of that journey. Welcome to the unspoken truth of attraction, the kind that evolution built and Jung revealed. A woman isn't repelled by your gentleness. She's repelled by your absence of structure. She doesn't retreat because you were too soft. She retreats because she sensed you had no center. And a man with no center is a man who cannot hold the storm. Not hers, not his own. And the truth is, women are the storm. Not in a negative way, but in the way that life is chaotic, emotional, wild, unpredictable. Jung called it the anima, the embodiment of soul, the unconscious feminine within every man. And when you meet her outside of you, when you fall for her body, her voice, her smile, you are also meeting a part of yourself you haven't yet mastered. So what happens when you meet her and you're not ready? You collapse. Not always loudly, sometimes in subtle, silent ways. You become agreeable. You apologize for existing. You seek validation, not because you value her, but because you don't value yourself. And she can feel it, not consciously, but through thousands of years of evolutionary whispers embedded in her biology. You think she left because you said the wrong thing. But the truth is, she left because she couldn't feel you. Not the you with polished words. The you that could anchor her chaos. The you who doesn't flinch when she tests you because you've already faced the parts of yourself that once terrified you. Carl Jung warned us, what you do not bring to consciousness will rule your life, and you will call it fate. That is why most men fail in love, because they try to perform their way into being chosen. But the masculine isn't something you perform. It's something you return to. And you return by walking into the parts of yourself that were exiled, your fear, your rage, your softness, your hunger, and reclaiming them, not unleashing them, integrating them. The man who has not done this will forever be shaken by a woman's presence because she is not here to validate you. She is here to awaken you. That's why she tests you. Not because she's cruel, but because her instinct must know, can you hold me even when I cannot hold myself? Can you stay centered when she withdraws, when she pokes your wounds, when she mirrors your insecurity? She's not looking for dominance. She's looking for depth. And depth cannot be faked. It's earned in silence, in solitude, in all the moments you chose to stay instead of run from yourself. You think strength is loud, but in Jungian psychology, strength is stillness under fire. Strength is your ability to walk away, not in anger, but in peace. Not to punish her, but to preserve your wholeness. Because the man who needs a woman to feel okay is a man who has not yet met his shadow. And if you have not faced your own chaos, how can you carry hers? That's what she's sensing. That's the test you never knew you were failing. And the deeper truth, you've been failing it your whole life with every moment you abandoned your instincts to seek approval. With every second you performed instead of embodied. But now this is your moment to awaken. In the ancient world, a man was not chosen for how gently he spoke, but for how deeply he stood when the world shook. The same is true today. Women aren't attracted to niceness, they're drawn to groundedness. A man can be gentle and still command a room, but he can't be spineless, because deep down she doesn't want to lead. She wants to relax. She wants to soften into your structure, but she can't do that if you're the one always bending. And here lies the paradox. The more you chase her, the more you affirm that you are not the thing worth chasing. Jung spoke of persona, the mask we wear to survive social expectation. Most men today live as their persona, smiling when they want to scream, agreeing when their soul begs to disagree, complimenting when they really feel small. But the woman doesn't fall for your persona. She might be amused by it, entertained for a while, but what she longs for, what she aches to meet, is the self, your full, unedited essence, not your performance, not your strategy, the part of you that knows who he is, even in silence, the part of you that no longer begs for the feminine, but mirrors it because it has been integrated within. This is where real polarity is born, not from manipulation, but from wholeness. When you no longer reach for her to fill your gaps, but invite her into a space already full. That's the man who stirs her biology before her mind can explain why. He is rare not because he's perfect, but because he's anchored. He has depth. And depth is dangerous to shallow interactions. That's why women test the waters before they dive. They've been burned by men who seemed stable until the moment pressure arrived. Then their smile cracked, their energy scattered, their mask fell, and all that was left was a boy in a man's body begging to be needed. But not you, not anymore, because you're beginning to remember that you were never meant to convince her of your worth. You were meant to embody it, quietly, unapologetically, with a presence that says, I will not abandon myself to earn your gaze. And the paradox, that's exactly when she starts to look, because the man who doesn't need her attention often holds the power she's been searching for, not power over her, power within. The kind of power that comes from having met his fear and turned it into fuel, his wounds into wisdom, his chaos into clarity. And here's the secret. Her nervous system has always known you don't need to be loved by many, only respected by yourself. Because when you walk into a room with that silent inner knowing, women feel it. They don't understand it, not immediately. But their body leans in. Their breath slows. Their instincts whisper, he's different. Not because you're louder, not because you're richer, but because you are not performing. You're simply present. And in a world where most men are screaming to be seen, the man who doesn't need to be seen becomes unforgettable. Carl Jung called this man individuated, someone who has stepped beyond the herd, burned the mask of persona, and chosen to live in alignment with his inner truth, no matter the cost. And when a man reaches that threshold, when he stops asking, "What does she want from me?" and starts asking, "Who am I?" when no one is watching, everything changes. Because attraction is not a negotiation. It is recognition. She is not falling for your resume. She is feeling into your reality. This is why men with options, with missions, with standards, those men radiate something ancient. Pre-selection isn't just social proof. It's spiritual weight, a signal that you are already chosen by life, by purpose, by vision, that other women sense your energy and gravitate not because you try, but because you are. And when she sees that, when she realizes other women already respond to your leadership, your groundedness, your direction, it triggers something deep. Not jealousy, certainty. Certainty that if others trust you, admire you, follow you, then maybe she can too. But it can't be faked. You can't force your way into being chosen. You must become the kind of man who is always choosing himself. That means you stop orbiting women. You stop chasing validation. You stop trading your time for scraps of attention, and instead you build your body, your mind, your friendships, your future. Because every drop of energy you invest in becoming multiplies the magnetic field around you. That's not a trick. That's evolution. And here's what's truly wild: she may not even like you at first, but she will feel you. And the more you stay rooted in your own center, the more her biology will begin to respond. Her logic may resist, her pride may delay, but instinct doesn't lie. Because presence, purpose, and power don't shout, they hum. And women are finely tuned instruments, attuned to that low hum of real masculine energy. The kind that doesn't push or pull, it draws. But there's one thing most men never understand. Her desire is not for your attention, it's for your discernment. She doesn't want to be wanted by a man who wants everyone. She wants to be chosen by the man who could have chosen anyone, but didn't. Because that's when it feels real. That's when it feels earned. And earned desire is the rarest currency in the modern world. This is where Jung's idea of the shadow returns, because if you haven't done the inner work to know what truly matters to you, you'll compliment every pretty face fall for every kind word and leak your energy in 1,000 directions. And what does that tell her? That you're not anchored, that you don't have standards, that your hunger isn't sovereign, it's scattered. And if you give yourself away too easily, how could you ever protect what matters? But the man who is selective, not rude, not distant, but deeply intentional, that man awakens something in her. Because suddenly your attention has weight. It carries value. It says, I don't choose with my eyes, I choose with my soul. And that in a world of cheap likes and hollow praise is electric. It makes her wonder why him, but more importantly, why me? And that wonder becomes longing. Women crave to be chosen by a man who sees through them not just their beauty, but their essence. But that kind of sight is only available to the man who has first seen himself. You cannot recognize another soul until you've touched your own. And if your gaze is desperate, needy, grasping, it tells her you're not looking at her, you're looking for something to fix you. That's why indifference, when authentic, is so powerful. Not because it plays games, but because it signals abundance. You are not chasing because you are already full. You are not seduced by surface because you've tasted depth. And your silence isn't passive, it's potent. It says, I am not here to be entertained. I am here to be met. So stop trying to be impressive. Start being impressed only by truth. Hold your gaze. Don't rush to give praise. Let her rise to meet you. And when she does, let your recognition be sincere, not generous, but earned. Because what's rare is remembered. And what's remembered reshapes desire itself. Here's the lie that's broken so many modern men. If I'm kind enough, patient enough, supportive enough, she'll stay. But that's not love. That's strategy. And women can feel the difference. Real attraction isn't born from how much you give. It's born from who you are, when you no longer need to give anything to be enough. Carl Jung didn't teach men to become saviors. He taught them to become whole. And wholeness means you no longer outsource your sense of worth. You don't build yourself around her emotions. You don't collapse when she withdraws. You don't become reactive when she tests your edge. Because you've already faced the one force more terrifying than her rejection, your own emptiness. And you filled it not with her affection, but with your own presence. In Jungian terms, this is individuation, the sacred process of becoming fully yourself, integrated across shadow and self-chaos and clarity. It's the path few men take, because it demands everything false be burned away. But those who do, they don't chase. They radiate. Their life has gravity. Their silence has texture. Their word reshapes the room. That man, the one she can't stop thinking about but can't quite describe, that's not a fantasy. That's a man who has reclaimed his inner throne, who doesn't ask for permission to be powerful, who doesn't shrink himself to make others comfortable, who moves through life with purpose so deeply embodied that even his stillness speaks. And the irony, that's when she starts showing up. Not because you pushed, but because you pulled her soul forward. Not by force, but by frequency. You didn't seduce her. You reminded her what real feels like. And that is unforgettable. Because deep down, she's not asking, will he adore me? She's asking, will he awaken me? And that's the sacred invitation most men never hear because they're too busy auditioning for approval to realize she's not your destination. She's your mirror. She reflects your clarity. She magnifies your confusion. She amplifies your truth or your absence of it. And if you are not rooted, not awake, not embodied, she becomes a storm that drowns you. But if you are, she becomes a river that flows through you deeper than lust, richer than love. Something ancient, something true. Jung once said, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." And that's what she secretly wants. Not a man who performs masculinity, but one who remembers it. Not a man who begs to be chosen, but one who chooses himself so fiercely that others rise just to meet him there. So if you've ever wondered why she drifted, why she lost interest, why your kindness wasn't enough, maybe it's because you gave her your persona when what she was aching for was your presence. The man behind the mask. The one who walks away without resentment. The one who stays without clinging. The one who speaks with his being, not his words. That's the man she can trust. That's the man she can follow. Not because he demands it, but because her nervous system tells her he is safe. He is strong. He is home. So ask yourself now, not what do women want, but what kind of man do I become when no one is watching? Do I chase? Do I perform? Do I shrink? Or do I rise? Because in a world full of men trying to be seen, the rarest one is the man who sees himself first. Now it's your turn. Let this be the moment you stop asking, how do I get her? And start asking, who am I becoming? Because when you answer that, with honesty, discipline, and soul, you don't just attract her, you awaken her. And in return, she awakens you. Now leave a comment below. Not for me, but for yourself. What part of you have you been hiding in order to be loved? And what would happen if you brought that part into the light? Let's begin.